A-10 Warthog has earned a tough reputation over the years, built like a tank and feared by enemies on the battlefield. So when the United States pumped $3 billion into upgrading it into a Super A-10, expectations were sky high. But things didn't go as planned. Instead of a stronger, deadlier version of the Warthog, the project ran into serious trouble, and the outcome left many in shock. So what exactly went wrong? And what does this mean for the future of the A-10? Join us as we discuss the features and failures of the US new $3 billion Super A-10 Warthog. Just a few years ago, the United States Air Force came close to shutting down its entire fleet of A-10 Thunderbolt IIs, widely known as Warthogs. Back in 2014, the then Chief of Staff, General Mark Welsh III, stated that retiring the A-10 completely was necessary to significantly reduce the defense budget. He explained that the funds and personnel saved would be redirected to establishing new F-35 units. According to Welsh, retiring the A-10 could save around $3.7 billion over the 5-year defense program, plus an additional $500 million in upgrades that would no longer be needed. Despite the A-10's legendary reputation and battlefield dominance, the aircraft does have critical shortcomings, and some of them threaten its future in active service. Originally developed during the 1970s to hunt and destroy Soviet tanks, the A-10 was built without an integrated targeting radar. This design decision is now one of its most limiting factors, especially in the era of precision-guided weapons. While many A-10 Warthogs have since been upgraded with targeting pods mounted on their centerline, these enhancements still fall short of offering the capabilities provided by a dedicated onboard targeting radar system. This shortfall has unfortunately played a role in serious battlefield mistakes. One of the most significant issues is the aircraft's inability to consistently confirm target identities from the air. This has led to multiple friendly fire incidents. Two of the most high-profile cases involved an A-10 attacking a British armored column due to misidentification, and another similar event in which US Marine Corps vehicles came under fire from an A-10. These tragic errors have raised important questions about the aircraft's suitability in complex mixed-force environments. Another known advantage of the Warthog is its impressive ability to linger over the battlefield for long periods, a key strength in close air support. However, this endurance comes at a cost. The aircraft's relatively slow speed makes it a more vulnerable target for enemy fire. Threats like small arms and portable air defense systems, particularly shoulder-launched missiles known as man-pads, pose a serious danger. Because the A-10 flies slower than modern jets, it has less time to respond with defensive countermeasures like flares and chaff once a missile is launched. Additionally, the A-10 is not built for maneuvering in air-to-air engagements or when dodging incoming threats. The aircraft lacks afterburners, which limits its acceleration, and its turning capability is not as sharp as that of more agile fighter jets. This puts the Warthog at a disadvantage when facing modern missile threats, especially in contested airspace. As a result, the A-10 is usually confined to operations where US forces already control the skies, ensuring the aircraft can safely carry out its mission without having to face advanced enemy fighters. Finally, perhaps the most significant challenge to the A-10's continued relevance is that other aircraft across the US military inventory can now perform many of the same close air support roles. Multi-role fighters like the F-35, F/A-18, F-16, and even the F-22 can deliver precision strikes. Meanwhile, attack helicopters such as the AH-64 Apache and unmanned aircraft like the MQ-9 Reaper can carry out low-altitude support missions with similar, or in some cases greater, loitering capabilities. Taken together, these limitations show why the A-10 remains a remarkable aircraft, but also face growing questions about whether it's still the best tool for the evolving needs of modern combat. The Air Force pushed for the F-35A Lightning II to take over the A-10's role, claiming that the newer jet was better suited for modern threats. As America's involvement in long wars like Afghanistan decreased, some leaders argued that close air support specialists were no longer as essential. However, this argument didn't sit well with everyone. Many lawmakers in Congress strongly opposed retiring the A-10, warning that doing so would harm the Air Force's ability to support troops on the ground. Some even pushed for a fly-off. an official test between the A-10 and the F-35 to determine whether the newer jet could truly replace the older Warhorse in close support missions. In the year 2014, as the U.S. Air Force considered phasing out its fleet of A-10 Thunderbolt IIs, events in the Middle East were quickly reshaping that decision. Around the same time, Operation Inherent Resolve, the American-led mission aimed at defeating the so-called Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, was gaining momentum. As the conflict intensified, pressure mounted on the Air Force to increase its presence and contribution to the campaign. Back in Washington, D.C., the fiscal year 2015 defense budget became a critical turning point. Both the House and Senate Armed Services Committees included specific clauses that blocked any immediate plans to retire the A-10 fleet. This combination of battlefield urgency and legislative action created a situation that essentially saved the A-10 from being cut. That October, the Indiana Air National Guard's 163rd Fighter Squadron, nicknamed the Black Snakes, was deployed to the Central Command region as part of a theater security package. Initially sent to Kuwait, the unit was swiftly redirected to Afghanistan to support the safe withdrawal of U.S. Army forces from forward operating bases scattered across the war-torn country. However, after only about a month in Afghanistan, shifting priorities and growing threats led to another reassignment. The squadron was ordered back to Kuwait to join the growing battle against ISIS. Once back in the region, the A-10s were immediately placed into combat roles. Their reintroduction to active fighting provided a powerful reminder to senior Air Force officials of the aircraft's value. As the campaign evolved, more A-10 squadrons were called into service. Their roles included delivering precision close air support to ground forces and flying protective missions for combat search and rescue teams during joint coalition operations. The A-10's effectiveness came from its specialized design. Built around a massive 30mm cannon, it was made for survivability and precision in ground attacks. Over time, its systems and weaponry had been upgraded, allowing it to carry modern smart munitions. But more than its firepower, the aircraft's ability to loiter over battlefields, absorb damage, and continue flying made it a favorite among troops on the ground. Despite earlier claims that the A-10 was outdated and vulnerable in high-threat environments, its performance in Operation Inherent Resolve painted a different picture. While new aircraft like the F-35 were being considered as replacements, many in the military and in Congress argued that the A-10 still filled a critical role that no other platform could match. The effort to retire the A-10 set off a chain reaction that affected how the aircraft was supported and upgraded. When discussions of cutting the fleet gained traction, testing and development work began to grind to a halt. The active-duty A-10 fleet, which was being tested and evaluated by the 422nd Test and Evaluation Squadron at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, and managed by the A-10 Program Office at Hill Air Force Base in Utah, saw those operations nearly shut down. But as Operation Inherent Resolve escalated, everything began to shift once again. By the summer of 2016, it became clear that the A-10 still had a role to play. Work resumed on critical updates to the aircraft, and the Air Force began reversing its earlier drawdowns. Although the planned retirement of the A-10 temporarily disrupted supply chains, upgrades were quickly put back on schedule. One of the key enhancements came in 2017 when the Lightweight Airborne Recovery System, or LAR's version 12, was installed across all active-duty Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve Command A-10s. According to Major Matthew Cadding, the A-10 test director for the 59th Test and Evaluation Squadron, this system allowed pilots to communicate much more effectively with personnel on the ground, such as downed aviators and pararescuemen. The technology was included in Operational Flight Program Suite 8 and is now integrated into the aircraft's Central Interface Control Unit, making it a vital component in combat search and rescue missions. Due to limited funding, A-10 testing efforts have become more collaborative. The active-duty testing units, such as the 422nd and 59th Test and Evaluation Squadrons, now work closely with the Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve Command Test Center, known as AATC, based at Tucson Air National Guard Base in Arizona. This unified approach helps stretch resources while continuing to push forward with essential development. Today, the U.S. Air Force still operates a fleet of 281 A-10s, Despite multiple efforts to reduce this number, the aircraft continues to hold on thanks to both its battlefield relevance and the backing it receives from advocates in Congress. The proposed fiscal year 2021 budget had aimed to eliminate 44 A-10s, equivalent to the size of 3 full squadrons. But this move has also faced resistance and could be blocked like previous attempts. With support growing and battlefield needs evolving, the A-10 is now receiving long overdue updates that promise to keep it mission-ready for years to come. These enhancements aren't just about better performance, they also reflect a shift in thinking. Instead of phasing the jet out, the Air Force appears to be embracing its strengths and doubling down on its value in the modern combat environment. With upgrades now moving forward at full speed, the Warthog is proving once again that it's far from obsolete and still has plenty of bite left. The A-10 has seen such a revival in purpose and relevance that a new initiative, called the Common Fleet Initiative, is being developed to ensure the aircraft remains in service and combat-ready through at least the year 2035. At the heart of these improvements is the need to make the A-10 more survivable in modern, highly contested battle environments. That means pilots must be able to strike from a safe distance using advanced standoff weapons and revised combat tactics. Rather than flying directly into dense air defense zones, A-10 pilots will soon be able to engage certain threats from extended ranges using precision-guided munitions. Once enemy air defenses are neutralized, the A-10s can shift back to their more traditional role, delivering close air support with devastating accuracy. This shift is not just about hardware upgrades, it's also about enhancing tactics to ensure every mission is carried out with maximum effectiveness and survivability. Major Matthew Kading, a key figure in A-10 test operations, emphasizes that survivability isn't just tied to equipment. It's about going into combat with the most current and lethal tactics, he explains. What makes the 422nd and 59th Test and Evaluation Squadrons unique, along with the 53rd Wing as a whole, is their comprehensive approach to innovation. They don't just upgrade systems, they refine the way the aircraft is flown and fought. Currently, the 422nd Squadron is involved in multiple tactics development and evaluation projects, also known as TD and EES. These initiatives are part of the Air Combat Command's Tactics Improvement Proposals program, often shortened to TIPs. One such tie-up focuses on improving survivability during night missions at medium altitudes and exploring how modern night vision goggles can enable safer low-altitude operations after dark. This re-evaluation could allow the A-10 to execute its main missions at night, a capability that has become more feasible due to improvements in night vision technology. Other ongoing projects include adapting combat search and rescue tactics, refining maritime target engagement using the AGR-20 Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System, commonly called APKWS, and boosting the A-10's performance from austere or minimally supported airfields. The AGR-20 APKWS-2 is a precision-guided version of the old 2.75-inch folded fin aerial rocket and was added to the A-10's arsenal back in 2013. Major Kading also mentioned the enhancements that came with Suite 9, which was introduced in 2019. This software upgrade integrated the Situational Awareness Position System, or SAP, into the Operational Flight Program. With SAP, forward air controllers, known as JTACs, can digitally report their own positions to avoid friendly fire incidents, especially when using inertially guided weapons. Suite 9 also introduced the ability to strike multiple targets with precision weapons in a single command. Pilots can now drop up to 6 munitions with one press of the pickle button. Altogether, these upgrades signal a bold future for the A-10, one focused on survivability, adaptability, and tactical superiority. With the latest improvements to the A-10 Thunderbolt II, pilots can now release multiple weapons on different targets with just a single button press during one flyby. In the past, this required significant manual input from the pilot. Now the aircraft can determine whether multiple bombs, like the 500-pound class GBU-38 and GBU-54, or the 2,000-pound GBU-31, can hit their intended targets on a single pass, all while reducing pilot workload. One major part of this modernization came with Suite 9, which included upgrades to the pilot's helmet. A new sight system, called Hobbit, builds on the Thales Visionix Scorpion helmet that A-10 pilots began using in 2013. Hobbit uses a canopy-mounted optical tracker, a series of small dots, to more accurately follow the pilot's head movements, improving targeting efficiency and responsiveness. But the biggest leap since the original A-10 Alpha to A-10 Charlie upgrade in the early 2000s is just around the corner. Back then, the shift brought precision-guided weapons, a semi-digital cockpit, and laser targeting pods. Now Suite 10, scheduled to roll out in the spring of 2021, marks another foundational step forward. According to Major Matthew Kading, this upgrade will offer improved ability to strike multiple targets with different weapon types on a single pass. Full integration of the AGR-20 Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System means that rockets can now be used at their maximum range with precise onboard aiming solutions. The GBU-31V3 JDOM integration brings expanded fuse compatibility and improved feedback, so pilots can better confirm the accuracy of their strikes. Another key feature of Suite 10 is enhanced data sharing. A-10s will now be able to exchange real-time threat data through their onboard data links, giving all flight members better situational awareness and improving chances of survival during missions. Looking ahead, Suite 11 is already in developmental testing with the 40th Flight Test Squadron at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. It will be the first suite built using agile development techniques, allowing for faster delivery of future updates. Planned enhancements in Suite 11 include new hardware and software systems, a high-resolution display system, integration of the GBU-39 small-diameter bomb, three-dimensional audio for better spatial awareness, jam-resistant GPS, and upgraded ARC-210 radios. Additionally, a new mapping system will improve navigation and target identification. The HRDS is a game-changer. Replacing the old analog six-pack instruments in the cockpit, it introduces an 11.6-inch digital color display with high-definition resolution. This new screen will show enhanced footage from targeting pods and sharper map imagery, significantly improving visibility in poor weather or low-light conditions. This upgrade is vital for safer navigation and better precision in instrument meteorological conditions. He also highlights that the small-diameter bomb will give the A-10 a four-fold boost in standoff range, letting pilots hit high-value targets while staying out of reach of enemy ground defenses. On July 25, 2019, the United States Air Force wrapped up a major milestone, successfully completing a project to install new wings on a portion of its A-10 Charlie fleet. This effort began back in 2007 when Boeing secured a $1.1 billion contract to manufacture 173 sets of replacement wings. These new wings were built to endure up to 10,000 equivalent flight hours without needing a depot-level inspection. That impressive durability is expected to keep these modified aircraft flying through the year 2030 or even beyond. The success of the initial wing replacement project led to an additional round of funding in fiscal year 2018. This second phase aims to deliver another 112 wing sets, intended for the remaining A-10 Charlies that did not receive upgrades in the first round. These new wing kits are being acquired under a special effort known as the A-10 Thunderbolt Advanced Wing Continuation Kit, or ATACK program. While these structural improvements are helping to extend the life of the Warthog, one long-standing idea remains on hold: the re-engining of the A-10. For years, there have been calls to equip the aircraft with updated or more powerful engines, particularly to replace the General Electric TF-34 engines, which currently run slightly below their original performance due to detuning. However, this ambition is not part of the Air Force's current modernization plans. Even without new engines, the A-10 is receiving significant upgrades that will keep it as a top-tier close air support platform for at least another decade. Advanced cockpit systems, weapon integrations, sensor improvements, and survivability upgrades are all coming together to ensure that the A-10 remains relevant in future battlefields. Additionally, the use of modern manufacturing techniques and new suppliers may help the Air Force restore or slightly improve the original engine output without needing to redesign the aircraft's power plant entirely. Whether or not the A-10 stays in service long-term will largely depend on future decisions by the Air Force. For now, all signs point to continued investment in the A-10 fleet. With its upgraded wings, extended flight hours, and new mission systems, The aircraft is better positioned than ever to support ground forces in the most demanding environments. Unless there's a dramatic shift in Air Force priorities, the Warthog will likely remain a vital part of American air power for many years to come. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.